जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन बल्लभा गिरिवर धारी गोपीजन बल्लभा वरदा जय गोपीजन बल्लभा गिरिवर धारी जय गोपीजन बल्लभा गिरिवर धारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना यमुना तीरा वनचारी मुना जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण महाराज। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रविजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरण अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रविजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नाम आचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से बोलो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की मायापुर नवदीप धाम की गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री श्री गुरु एंड श्री गौरंग, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्रील प्रभुपाद। So we are reading today from 6-9. Can I have a book? ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भवतात् भक्तिर्नैष्टिकी भवता। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमो पंकजनाभाय नमो पंकजमालिने नमो पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रहे। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 9, Text 48. Oh, sorry, 49. Yeah, 49. Na वेदा कृपणः श्रेया आत्मनो गुण वस्तु दृक् तस्य तान इच्छतो यच्छेद यदि सो अपि तथा विधा न वेदा कृपणा श्रेया आत्मनो गुणवस्तु दृक् तस्य तानिच्छतो यच्छेद यदि सो अपि तथा विदः। न वेदा कृपणा श्रेया
Na veda kripana shreya Atmano guna vastudrik Tasyatan ichato yached Yadisopi tata vidaha
Atmano gunavastudre tasyatan ichato yached yadiso pitata vidaha
Navedam krupaya sreya Atmano guna vastudruk Tasya tannichato yache Yadi sopi tatha vidaha. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Na, not. Veda knows. Kripanaha, a miserly living entity. Shreya, the ultimate necessity. Atmanaha, of the soul. Guna Vastudrik, who is attracted by the creation of the modes of material nature. Tasya, of him. Tan, things created by the material energy. Ikshataha, desiring. Yachet, one bestows. Yadi, if. Sa api, he also. Tatha vidaha, of the kind, a foolish Kripana who does not know his real self-interest. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Those who think material assets to be everything, or you can repeat, those who think material assets to be everything, or to be the ultimate goal of life, are called misers, Kripana. They do not know the ultimate necessity of the soul. Moreover, if one rewards that which is desired by such fools, he must also be considered foolish. There are two classes of men. namely the Kripana and the Brahmana. A Brahmana is one who knows Brahman, the absolute truth, and who thus knows his real interest. A Kripana, however, is one who has material bodily concept of life. Not knowing how to utilize his human or demigod life, a Kripana is attracted by things created by the material modes of nature. The Kripanas who always desire material benefits are foolish, whereas Brahmanas who always desire spiritual benefits are intelligent. If a Kripana, not knowing his self-interest, foolishly asks for something material, one who awards it to him is also foolish. Krishna, however, is not a foolish person. He is supremely intelligent. If someone comes to Krishna asking for material benefits, Krishna does not award him the material things he desires. Instead, the Lord gives him intelligence so that he will forget his material desires and become attached to the Lord's lotus feet. In such cases, although the Kripanas offer prayers to the Lord for material things, the Lord takes away whatever material possessions the Kripana has and gives him the sense to become a devotee. As stated by the Lord in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22:39, Ami vigya ei murkhe vishaya kene diba swacharnamrita diya vishaya bhulaiba. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. If one sincerely prays to God for material possessions in exchange for devotional service, the Lord, who is not foolish like such unintelligent devotees, shows him special favor by taking away whatever material possessions he has and gradually giving him the intelligence to be satisfied only by rendering service to his lotus feet. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments in this regard that if a foolish child requests his mother to give him poison, the mother, being intelligent, will certainly not give him poison, even though he requests it. A materialist does not know that to accept material possessions means to accept poison or the repetition of birth and death. An intelligent person, a Brahmana, aspires for liberation from material bondage. That is the real self-interest of a human being. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Gurau Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brinda Vaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamham vande Shri Gurudina Taranam. So today is also the disappearance day of Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur. So who's the author of Chaitanya Bhagavat, which was previously known as Chaitanya Mangal. So we'll quickly in 5 minutes also discuss about him, and then we can relate his teachings to this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, as we know, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj, he wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and before that, the Chaitanya Mangal, which later came to be known as Chaitanya Bhagavat, was written by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. So, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he wrote the early pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the childhood pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in great detail. And he wrote a lot about Lord Nityananda in the Chaitanya Mangal. And then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Vrindavan Das Thakur is like Vyasadeva. Like Vyasadeva has written Srimad Bhagavatam on the narration of pastimes of Krishna. Similarly, he has written the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So therefore, his book should be named as Chaitanya Bhagavat. So therefore, it got changed from Chaitanya Mangal to Chaitanya Bhagavat. And the place where he wrote this Chaitanya Bhagavat is called Denuriya, and it was in a very dilapidated condition, but the Bhakti Vedanta Charity Trust, it basically invested there and made it into a nice place, which is a nice place now. So by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, and his disciples, it's now in a very good shape, and a lot of people go there and take darshan and blessings. One of the most cardinal teachings of Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur in the Chaitanya Bhagavat is not to criticize the devotees, to respect everyone. And we see in this current context of Srimad Bhagavatam that Indra offended his guru Brihaspati. So Indra is a very powerful demigod. He gives rain. He's like the king of heaven, right? And this morning we are coming. I just parked the car on the road, and we are coming, and we are seeing the nice gardening done by Mani Bandhani Prabhu. And I was appreciating that, nice flowers are blossoming, different kind of flowers. I was saying, Prabhu, this is such a nice garden. And I saw Maharaj also personally guides him how to do that. So he was saying, no, I have not done anything. It's all Lord Indra. He said, Lord Indra is providing the rains. I am just doing something. So imagine, Indra is so powerful, He has accumulated so many millions and billion times of good karma than any of us can actually do that. And yet, he got so engulfed into accepting glory and puja and worship for himself that he forgot to pay obeisances, give respect to his guru. So that is how the material world works. And here we see that the demigods are looking for pleasure because everything that they have dear to them is going to get lost, whether it's their family, whether it's their houses or their wealth, because this demon Vritrasura, it's pretty huge, it's very ferocious, and he's trying to eat everything and everyone there. And it's not like demigods are holding meetings for several weeks to discuss, okay, what's the action plan? They do not have that much time. They need to act immediately. And they are realizing that whatever attachments they have to all these material assets and possessions is actually worthless, and they are realizing that now we have to take shelter of Krishna. So therefore, if you see here that in this verse, verse 31 to 45 are prayers of the demigods after the Lord's appearance. And then here the Lord is instructing the demigods. So before this, there are a lot of prayers that the demigods are basically putting in front of Lord Krishna. And here we see that demigods are realizing that this material energy, how much ever we try to enjoy it, it actually causes pain. It's like you put fuel in the fire. So as soon as you put fuel, it seems like, the fire will subside. But actually, as soon as the fire engulfs that fuel, it increases more and more. It becomes stronger. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Devi Hesha Gunmai Mama Maya Duratya Maam eva me prapadyante Maya meta tarantite. So this material energy of mine is very, very difficult to overcome. Very difficult. And the only way is to take shelter of Krishna. So the demigods are also taking shelter of Krishna in this situation. And which is a natural inclination of the soul, because the soul is the part and parcel of Krishna. When we are in difficulty, we take shelter of Krishna in that situation. So they are also taking shelter of Krishna. And this demon Vritrasura is not an ordinary demon. He is actually devotee, right? He is King Chitraketu. So in later chapters, we will see the entire episode of King Chitraketu and how he requested for a son, Harsha Shoka, and then how, he was blessed by Narad Muni and he died at an early age, how the wives of King Chitraketu actually gave poison to their son. And, then Chitraketu was going to Kailash and he insulted Lord Shiva. I mean, Parvati thought he insulted, but actually he did not. And then she gave him a curse that you will become a demon. So this is a whole episode, but he's actually a devotee. So one very important lesson this canto is telling us, lot of lessons are there. One very important lesson is don't judge a book by its cover. Many times we try to judge people, but this is one of the very important lesson it is telling us. And other lesson that we can learn from Vrindavan Das Thakur here is we should not offend the Vaishnavas, we should not criticize them, as it could be very detrimental to our devotional life. I was reading Balram Prabhu's book, Day by Day with Srila Prabhupada, and he very beautifully writes that the way to exit out of Krishna consciousness is to offend the devotees. I like that word, exit, the way he used it. And so we can see a lot of examples from our previous acharyas, how they respected and how they basically gave respect to devotees in different positions. For example, Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami. So they were like home ministers and finance ministers in the kingdom of Bengal. It was a huge kingdom. And their names were Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. And they were like multi-billionaires. And to the extent that they have their, Sagar, Rup Sagar and Sanatan Sagar. Sagar is like the ocean. So they have their kind of bathing tubs. They have such a big bathing tubs that, when people go to yatras in Ramakeli, when they go to this bathing tub, and hundreds of people can just occupy one corner of that tub. It's so huge. It means they were so opulent. And they actually constructed a palace to invite everybody to do a debate on scriptures. And during that time, people from different parts of the world will come and, do debates. And they would respect everybody. Whoever they are, they will arrange for food, they will arrange for accommodation, and they will respect everyone. So this is one of the important lessons that we can learn from them. And Prahlad Maharaj also tells in Srimad Bhagavatam that we should respect everyone based on the position. Like somebody who's superior, then we can take guidance from them, we should respect them, we should serve them. Somebody who's equal, we can have friendship, maitri with them. If somebody is lower in a sense, however, we don't consider that, but then we guide them, we help them with whatever challenges they are facing. And somebody who's agnostic, we respect them by keeping little distance. That's also, and obviously respecting that Paramatma within them, we have to respect them as well. We respect everybody, but based on the position. So, And we can see this also in Srila Prabhupada. Like Srila Prabhupada was so much exemplifying this quality of being respectful and lovable to everybody. Like once there was a Vyas Puja of Srila Prabhupada going on, and everybody was like glorifying Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada was actually looking at one devotee. He had a boil on his leg, and Srila Prabhupada called him and took a piece of paper and wrote the prescription. Srila Prabhupada knew everything. He wrote a prescription. Okay, you put this turmeric, you put this salt, mix it and whatever. And then he also gave him some rupees that go and get some medicines. So he was so kind and so lovable to everyone. And then, as we know, Srila Prabhupada, when he came to America, he was living earlier in the Bowery, and then he moved to the Lower East Side of New York. And he was living with these teenagers and even people who are like in the early 20s. So he actually gave them so much love and compassion, even though they were not up to the standard, right? Like Prabhupada is like a great scholar of Vedanta. He's an acharya. He has the highest moral, ethical values that we can ever imagine. And here he is he's taking like bath 3 times a day. And he's living with people who hardly took bath like 3 times a year. So, and he's cooking for them. He's, taking care of them. And they are just coming intoxicated. Some of them just ate meat and they are coming. And they are gambling away their lives. They just had free sex. So they were doing everything. And yet Srila Prabhupada was, seeing that Paramatma in all of them. So, and we can also see that the same mercy of Srila Prabhupada is flowing through, his disciples in this temple and everywhere all over the world. And so many centers. And we can learn from them. And we can take advantage and make our lives successful. So that is a great advantage that all of us have today with these temples that Srila Prabhupada has given to us. So little bit I will read about Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur in a few minutes. We have till 8:30. So Vrindavan Das's criticism of Vaishnava Aparadh, he always criticized Vaishnava Aparadh. So one of the verses he has written demonstrated his infinite mercy on the fallen sources. He says that Eta parihare ojai papi ninda kare tabe lathi maro tara shirera upare. Even after being told how objectionable it is, if someone still blasphemes the Vaishnavas, then I will kick him in the head. These same words are repeated in the Adi, Madhya and Antik Khandas of the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Some foolish and arrogant persons misunderstand such statements and criticize Vrindavan Das for having made them. Such criticism leads them into mud of offensiveness. In this connection, the remarks of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Thakur, the founder of Sri Chaitanya Math and all the Gaudiya Maths are worth studying. He says, I am ready to kick the heads of those envious and hellish persons who blaspheme Nityananda Prabhu, if by so doing, I will be able to forever prevent them from repeating their attempts to show disrespect for the Supreme Lord. So, we know that Vrindavan Das Thakur is the incarnation of Vyas and Acharya of the Vaishnava faith. And even if a single fleck of dust should fall from his foot on the head of a sinful blasphemer, then that person will be blessed and all his sinful conditioning will inevitably be eradicated. And Chaitanya Bhagavat is written by Vrindavan Das Thakur, and he received all the blessings from Nityananda Prabhu. Vrindavan Das Thakur is said to be his initiated disciple. And Vrindavan Das is the recipient of Nityananda's blessing. He is the original Vyas of Chaitanya's pastime. He wrote Chaitanya Bhagavat, and he is the son of Narayani. Just as Vyasadeva compiled Lord Krishna's pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam, Thakur Vrindavan Das depicted Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. His Chaitanya Mangal annihilates all misfortune. From it, I learned the wonders of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and came to know all the most subtle doctrines of devotional service to Krishna. Vrindavan Das Thakur has summarized the essence of the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam in his Chaitanya Mangal. Vrindavan Das became so absorbed in the description of Nityanand Prabhu's Leela that he did not elaborately relate it to all Mahaprabhu's activities, only summarizing them in abbreviated form. Krishnadas then elaborated all these undescribed activities in his Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vrindavan Das Thakur, the authorized biographer of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and equal to Srila Vyasadeva, has described the Lord's pastime in such a way as to make them sweeter and sweeter. So, this is about Vrindavan Das Thakur, and one verse is there in Gaura Gano Desha Deepika, which tells that Vyasadeva became Vrindavan Das Thakur. Krishna's friend Kusuma Pida also entered into him for special purposes. So I just wanted to share that. So he's a very important acharya in our line. So we can pay our obeisances to him hundreds of times, and to Srila Prabhupada, our gratitude that through Srila Prabhupada we are getting the mercy of all these acharyas, that we can understand the highest truths that are revealed in the scriptures, and we can take advantage of that to make our life successful. Even what is not available to people in the heavenly planets, we are getting it here. The pure devotional service. What demigods are, they are hankering for, and we are getting it here so easily. So let us pay our great gratitude to Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas on this day and seek for their blessings. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, no, you didn't say. Okay, so there's a verse in the Shastra in which one devotee prays to become a miser, and I wonder if you could explain it, because it's in the Pajabali. Yeah.
Give a little context.
Yeah, I will in a second.
Which text is it? Which book is it? Verse?
Pajabali, which is a lot of
I'm not an expert in Padhyavali.
Vichayani vichinchani punak punaha. Krpanasya dhananiva tvannamani bhavantunaha. Now, I put it into a little poem. Avaricious means greedy. Compelled to constantly collect and count his precious hoard, the miser contemplates his wealth with avaricious aims. Please bless me to become a miser who's compelled, O Lord, to constantly collect and count and contemplate your names. So greed is good, as long as it's, or the holy names and other things related to Krishna. In fact, without greed, we can't attain Krishna. That's the price. Laulium. So I just wanted to add that. Maharaj, please.
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, I had a question.
The only verse I know of Kripana is the Karpanya Doshopahata Shabhava from Bhagavad Gita. Swaraj.
Anything connected with Krishna, just like anger, just like lust, all the things become purified. Connection with Krishna. Yeah, I had, just as a note, the Bhaktivedanta Charity Trust, which renovated the birth site of Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, Vrindavan Das Thakur, and other sites. That is a portion of the profit that comes from the BBTs from book distribution. So when the devotees are distributing books, you can know that a percentage of the money that we send to the BBT, all the different BBTs have a percentage according to what they collect and all of that. And it's set aside, Prabhupada just set it up, that a percentage is, just like a percentage goes to the Bhaktivedanta Institute for scientific research, a percentage goes to the Bhaktivedanta Charity Trust. So when you're out there distributing books, you're also helping renovate these holy tirthas, because that's directly where the money comes from. Wow. So that's something blissful.
Book distributors ki jai.
Yeah, it's a fact. My question was, yes, Prabhupada was humility personified, and we're not supposed to find any fault, and we're not supposed to criticize. Okay. Mukunda Maharaj tells a story about, because you're talking about Prabhupada's tolerance living in the Lower East Side. Mukunda Maharaj, and every time he tells a story, he hits his head. He remembers cutting in front of there was a line, only one bathroom, everyone used it. Prabhupada was standing in line to use the bathroom, and Mukunda Maharaj cut in front of him. Said, "I'll be just a minute, Swami," and cut in front of Prabhupada. Every time he says, "What was I thinking? What was I thinking?" But that was Prabhupada. Okay, fine. Sometimes Prabhupada is presented as just a wonderful, happy Santa Claus. That everything was great and just pouring out love, and But Prabhupada could be extremely heavy. Prabhupada asked Janmadagini, I'm a Kshatriya, I'm this, I'm that, and he was always fighting with everybody. Prabhupada told him, our movement is for Brahmins, there's no room for you in our movement. Yes. Prabhupada told him to leave. Prabhupada told the original 4 sannyasis, north, east, south, west, pick a direction, but not in ISKCON, you can't stay here. Prabhupada was heavy. So how do we balance, because it gets projected onto ISKCON leaders, it gets projected onto the GBC, it gets projected onto sannyasis, it gets projected onto gurus. Hey, you're just supposed to be like Prabhupada, an array of love and peace, and everything's groovy. But that wasn't Prabhupada's, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is described to be like soft as a rose and... So where's the discrimination, where's the balance? Maybe you could elaborate a little bit more on both sides.
Maybe you already know the answer, Maharaj, but just to... Whatever I have heard from you and all the, Prabhupada and disciples, I can share that we should not tolerate abuse. If there is abuse, and if there are people who are innocent, they may get affected because of somebody's, bad habits or bad qualities, then definitely we should stand up and raise our voice. We should not tolerate that. And obviously we should not be exploited in the name of being humble, right? So one of the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada I am remembering is, Prabhupada was talking to some monk, I don't want to name the category or the classification, but somebody, and he said that, we should be ahimsa, we should be non-violent. And Prabhupada said, what if somebody tries to misbehave with your female disciples? What would you do? And that guru kept quiet. So... Yeah, and the lady disciple, like Prabhu is saying, next to him. And Prabhupada says, no, if somebody is trying to misbehave with the female, we should stand up and, obviously fight with them. So obviously, like in this situation, we see there is misbehavior, there is abuse, there is exploitation. So we should not tolerate that. Based on the facts, based on the... Yeah, so basically then Prabhupada says, no, if somebody is trying to misbehave with your female disciples, you should fight with them, you should stop them. And the female disciple was like wondering that my guru is saying nothing, he's doing nothing for me, and Prabhupada is actually... Yeah, he said... I won't do anything. Yeah. And the lady said, like, what? Yeah. You won't do anything? Yeah. So, yeah, although Prabhupada is, having the highest nectar of Radha and Krishna, but still he's coming down to that level, very practical ground level.
Your answer was very good. In addition to that, Prabhupada was humility personified. There's no question about it. But in his role as a teacher, sometimes you have to assert yourself. Sometimes, like you said, if there's fire in the house, you have to yell fire. If there's a cheater or a rogue, you can't just be quiet. So, but also as a role as a teacher, you have to be assertive sometimes. Otherwise, people don't get the point. I was thinking this story about Prabhupada, would you defend your disciple? Dina Tarani, who was the wife of Narayan, was they, as a couple, one of the early people to go to, the first wave to go to India. And there was so this is 1970, 71 they went? Something like that. And there was we used to get cheated left, right, front, and center, because we didn't know Indian culture or traditions or what was going on. We'd ordered a particular size stage, particular quality. The man delivered an inferior quality, smaller stage. It was too late to call him on it. It was time for the Pando. In the course of the Pando program that evening, the devotees got up and started dancing on the stage. The man was concerned that it was going to break his stage. So we can imagine Prabhupada sitting in the center. There's devotees on both sides chanting and dancing. Ladies on one side, men on the other. And this man was on the ground. So the stage is up here. He was reaching up. He was trying to get the devotees to sit down. And he thought if he could get one, it would start a wave and they'd sit there. So he was pulling on Dina Tarani's sari. She told me this personally. He was pulling on her sari. She's a young girl. She's like 19, 20 years old, and this man is pulling on her sari. And she, all the devotees are Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, oblivious to the whole thing. And she's got this, existential drama going on. He's about to disrobe her, what to do, Prabhupada took one of his kartals, threw it, like from me to you, hit the guy in the chest, and it shocked the guy. Didn't break a rib, but it hurt him. And he dropped her sari and sat down. So Prabhupada, like with the Sudarshan chakra, saved this lady disciple. So there's different sides to Prabhupada. It's like a jewel, there's many facets. You turn it, and the more facets, the better, the more beautiful it is. Because it catches the light in different ways.
I've never heard this story. Thank you for sharing, Maharaj.
Directly from Dina Tarani.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Confirmed by her husband, Narayan.
Thank you for sharing.
She must confirm it for me later on. 100% it happened.
Wow, that's amazing.
Like a Sudarshan chakra.
Thank you for sharing, Maharaj.
It's just a comment. You were mentioning one should not judge a book by its cover. I guess it's a metaphor. Yeah. But if we take the literal meaning, a couple of days ago we were reading that our books' cover should be so nice that everybody's attracted to read.
And they are too.
Yeah.
I met this lady yesterday, and she couldn't decide which book to get because she said, all of the covers are so attractive. Yeah. So I said, whatever catches your attention, please take it. And then she just kept touching the book. She didn't know what to get.
That is so far out, isn't it? That is blissful.
Right. Jai, very nice.
But a blissful meditation, she'll never be the same.
Yeah.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Prabhu, in this verse, it's saying if a child requests poison, the mother won't give it. So, but then we see Krishna will ultimately give the demigods what they want, and Krishna has given us this whole material world. How do we understand that?
Yeah, so Krishna, although he's giving what the demigods want, but he's also telling the demigods that what are you looking for? If you see this verse in 47 to 50, Krishna says that your prayers are knowledgeable, but pure devotees do not ask for anything but bhakti. Krishna is clearly saying that whatever you are asking, is not good. You should ask for bhakti. That is what. And he's saying that fools fulfill their material desires, devotees discourage karma. So Krishna is giving them, at the same time he is telling him the right knowledge, what is the right way of approaching the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says, Chaturvida bhajante maam, right? Arti artharthi jnani and jigyasu. But Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying that I fulfill the desires of everyone, but those who are trying to understand me further, they are very dear to me. So there are different categories, but Krishna is trying to bring them one notch higher, where they are right now. So yes, Krishna is giving them, but at the same time he is giving them that realization. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhupada would always give the example of a little baby or a little child, and there's either a fan or a fire, and the kid wants to touch the fire, and the father says, no, but the kid is...
Prabhupada did this with his own son.
Yeah. And so finally, very carefully, he lets him put his hand in the fire, and never again. Then he learns, the fire is hot, it's going to be painful, so he never did. In other words, we're in that child's role. We insisted, no, we want to come to the material world and enjoy, and so forth. And so Prabhupada sometimes says, Krishna tried to convince us, no, but, we were determined. Okay, so you come, and then you suffer, and then there's always Krishna himself or a representative of the books, so finally you come to the point of realizing this was a bad deal. I shouldn't have put my hand in the fire. I shouldn't have desired.
Right.
So this is it's a teaching way. If they you don't understand by this speaking, then you have to under experience it. Then you'll understand. You'll be more receptive to the message that this is not something you should want.
Correct.
So demigods are in that position.
I just want to add so it's not a misunderstanding. Not to counter anything Dravida said. With Prabhupada's son was very mischievous, Vrindavan, his youngest son. And he kept wanting to touch the fan, put his finger in a circular fan. So what Prabhupada did was unplugged it and let it slow down until it wouldn't do any harm. But it's a metal fan, So he let it slow down so it wouldn't, if he'd stuck his finger and it was rotating, it would cut his finger right off. But he slowed it down so that when the boy touched it, it didn't hurt him, but tong, it made a sound. It scared him. So then he never did it again. So it wasn't that Prabhupada let his son touch fire and put him at risk. He figured out how to do it in a safe way. So, unless you think Prabhupada was callous in his dealing.
I always wondered why Prabhupada asked his son to put finger, because I was thinking the fan is so fast, but now I got the answer. You told he plugged it. Okay. Yeah. I see. Nice. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj, for sharing that. Yeah, so that is that, Prabhu. But if you see in other cases of Bhagavatam where, these demons are seeking for benediction from, say, Lord Brahma, Hiranyakashipu, or Ravan is seeking from Lord Shiva, then I don't know if they are giving that lesson, what Krishna is giving to the demigods. Right? So the Lord is so merciful. So since we talked about Ramayana and Ramayana, I remember one small pastime of Ramayana, but I think we have this time. Okay, then we'll. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.